Okay, a few years back I did a video on the Western Suburb Magpies and their shockingly bad, historically bad seasons of 98 and 99, the first two seasons of the combined NRL competition. The team that was above them in the ladder on those two seasons was the North Queensland Cowboys. Now in 2000, they don't have the Western Suburb Magpies to bail them out of the wooden spoon because they are the wooden spoonists. Because Western Suburbs have merged with Balmain to form West Tigers, and we'll do a wooden spoon video on West Tigers at the end of this series. Because what I've noticed is people keep watching the shockingly bad Western Suburb Magpies videos. So I've got an idea. I'll do every single wooden spoon season and look at it. And in some videos, I'll combine several seasons together because that team that I'm looking at has had back-to-back wooden spoons. So look out, Newcastle Knights fans. You get 3 seasons in one video because you were shockingly bad in the mid-2010s. However, a decade and a half before the Newcastle Knights are having their meltdown and their complete and utter disaster of a time, which they never fully recovered from, to be honest. If you're a Newcastle Knights fan, your team's been average for a long time, and there was a period where you were shocking. North Queensland decided to do that in the late 90s and early 2000s, where they weren't very good. Now, let's have a look at the North Queensland Cowboys 2000 season and their wooden spoon. So their position on the ladder, last, 14th out of 14. So the league is smaller then than it is now, but not much. We're only at 17 teams, so the league's only expanded a handful of times since 2000. So yeah, North Queensland, position on the ladder, 14th. Games played, 26. Wins, 7. Defeats, 19. They also had 2 competition points deducted for breaching interchange rules in round 4. They were bottom of the ladder from round 5 onwards until the end of the season. They only recorded back-to-back wins in rounds 12 and 13. But the bright spot on the season, they defeated the Northern Eagles 50 points to 10 in round 8, which was the first ever 50-point game in team history. So you could see that they could do it when they wanted to. What is also interesting is the points for and against, so the points they score per game versus the points they concede per game. Ironically, it isn't the worst. They've not got the worst attack and they've not got the worst defence. There are teams above them in the ladder that have worse defences and worse attacks. The team directly above them on the ladder scored less points per game on average and conceded more points per game on average, yet they managed to win more games, draw a couple of games, and lose less. And that's the Auckland Warriors, who are now known as the New Zealand Warriors. So this is the stat that I really want to look at. So points for. This is all total points, 436. That averages out at 16.8 points per game scored. Points against, 612, which averages out at 23.5 points conceded per game. In total, that's a points differential of 176. When you look at it, when you break it down, that's a converted try and a bit in between how many points they score and how many points they concede, which says to me that season, without actually looking at the results, they lost a lot of tight games. Because let's have a look at 13th place, the Auckland Warriors. Games played, 26, obviously. Wins, 8. Draws, 2. Losses, 16. 18 points in total. So North Queensland would have had a 14-point season, so even without the points deduction, they still would have been wooden spoonists. But now, let's have a look at the Auckland Warriors' attack and defence stats, because this is what's really bugged me. Points for, 426. They've scored 10 less points, which actually is 0.4 points per game differential between themselves and North Queensland. So North Queensland score 0.4 points per game more than the team above them in the ladder, which is the Auckland Warriors. It's the defence stats that really stun me. 662 points against, which averages out at 25.5 points per game. So that's 2 points per game extra that the Auckland Warriors are conceding in defence than North Queensland. And their points differential is a minus 236. So that's left me with a bit of a head scratcher. That says to me, when Auckland win, okay, they win scrappily. But when they lose really badly. But in there, they managed to get some draws, which is a bit of an odd stat. We don't get many draws in rugby league. So that's a very interesting little stat. The fact they actually managed to get a 50-point win, you won't see many wooden spoonists do that. I think that's the only time a wooden spooner has actually managed to get a 50-point win, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be. So that's an interesting one. But at this time, and this is a well-known fact, that North Queensland, their recruitment was interesting. A lot of players went up there because it was an easy payday. They weren't pushed as hard as they should have been. players wound down their careers in North Queensland. It was basically known as the retirement home of Townsville. Townsville is well known for its nightlife, and players went up there for the social scene. Players who were winding down their careers, had some money in the bank, were like, I can relax a little bit up here. It was a very relaxed, laid-back atmosphere. So, unfortunately, they weren't pushed hard enough in training. They took things easy. They took shortcuts. Basically, what's come out of the stories of North Queensland at the time. How times would change with coaches like Paul Green and Todd Paynton. Because under Paul Green, within a decade or so, they are a pretty good side. They would get to 2 grand finals within 15 years or so of this, average season, and they would win one of them. They would also win the World Club Challenge. Under Todd Paynton, after their down spell at the end of Paul Green's tenure, God rest his soul, because he was a great coach and a great player, Todd Paynton comes along. His first season, rocky start, they're near the bottom of the league. Much like this season, similar record, not doing so well. But the players buy in. Last season, as I'm recording this video, they finished in the top 4. They were one of the favourites to win the grand final. They came up just short of making a 3rd grand final since 2015. But the coaching they now have, and the style of coaching they now have, the no nonsense, no BS, changed this team around, because this team was seen as a good way to retire. You've done the hard graft down in Sydney or down in Brisbane, down in Canberra, for example. You've done that hard graft where you've got to be battling hard every day to earn your coin. So you can relax a little bit. You can relax, enjoy the nightlife, enjoy the climate. The much warmer climes of Townsville, the tropical climate, and retire and work your way, work those cobwebs out and retire. So that is what I take out of this, and this is a known fact. Their record isn't actually dreadful. Western Suburbs proved that, and I think the Newcastle Knights in the mid-2010s will prove that, but they were average. And at the time, a lot of upheaval. A lot of teams, as I say, had worse defensive records. So they weren't the worst defence, they weren't the worst attack, but they lost too many close games. The killer instinct wasn't there. So there we go. That's the revisiting of the terrible 2000 NRL season of the North Queensland Cowboys. There will be more wooden spoon videos coming. So there are some teams that will appear a lot in this playthrough. Some teams don't appear at all. So actually, ironically, the Warriors never have had a wooden spoon, so they never appear. Gold Coast, you're going to appear a couple of times. Newcastle, I think I could combine you into one video for your wooden spoons, because you had a dreadful 3-season spell. And some teams, as I say, appear once or twice. Other teams, like the Warriors, never appear at all. Parramatta, you're going to appear a few times. Even Melbourne, the Melbourne Storm, will get a video. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts on the early 2000s North Queensland Cowboys. If you are a North Queensland Cowboy fan, I would love to hear from you in the comment section. And from me, the Sports Muffin, thank you very much for watching. Waffing? That's a word I've just made up. Thank you very much for watching and getting into this video. From me, thank you very much. Please place a like and a subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content, shall I say, for you very, very soon. I've even left the outtakes in there, because I'm not doing this video again. 23 attempts. But from me, goodbye for now.